So I was saying about this a year ago, which I said was a great idea. Somebody brought it up because one of the obviously the flagship of the Irish Navy. It's been on the high seas since the 80s, and obviously it was been outdated. Basically, last year it's been decommissioned. I suppose is the word to use for a naval ship. So the government there was talk about maybe turning it into a museum for obviously because it was the flagship of the Irish Navy for a good 30 years. Turn it into a nice maritime museum. Keep the ship in a port in Dublin or Cork. For people to go and visit, members of the public to go on tours to see and stuff like that. And I was all for that. I said that would be a great idea. And I even wrote letters to Micheál Martin saying it should be what we should do with it. We should do it up and turn it into a museum dedicated to the Irish Navy and stuff, the servicemen who served in the Irish Navy over the years. But obviously the government don't like that, they just want to, so basically they can, whatever they decided, I suppose, it's been decided that the ship is going to be broken apart, so basically it's going to be scrapped for parts and stuff like that, and they're going to send it overseas to be scrapped. Now it's very disappointing, especially because there was such an opportunity, because it was the last naval ship to be built in the country. It was built in Cork, in the Cork dockyard, there back in the 80s, as I said, beginning of the 80s, and it's a queer tragedy that it has to be basically torn up, when it could be turned into a nice museum. As I say, you could even bring it around the country if it wouldn't probably be fit to go sailing around, I suppose. But if you could put it even in Cork, Galway, even Dublin, the possibilities are endless where you could put it. And I'm sure many tourists will go and see. We see in other countries, they have ships who suffer. We see even in London, take for example, near Tower Bridge, the HMS Belfast. It's a light cruise, I suppose, a heavy cruise, as you would call it. It's from the Second World War, and they have that docked along the quays in London as basically for people to go and look around. And obviously it is popular because it wouldn't be there if it's popular. So people do like just looking around the ship and seeing how it was and stuff, especially warships particularly. And obviously the LA Eithne was, I suppose, a patrol boat, a bit of a destroyer. I suppose it wouldn't be as big as a heavy cruiser or a light cruiser. But still, nonetheless, it's a tragedy, and especially because it seemed like it was a good bit of a push last year, particularly not years ago, but last year there was a good bit of a push by people to turn it into a museum and from the government and stuff, and they were considering it. I got no response at the time I wrote to Micheál Martin, but I just basically said, this is what we should do. We shouldn't destroy the flagship of the Irish Navy. We should have it as a museum dedicated to sailors. But I obviously got no reply from that or anything to that. But I'm sure many people probably said to their local representatives, we should do it. We should keep the ship. But it's very sad now that it has to be destroyed. It's a tragedy, and especially because, as I say, it's not that bad a condition. There's been worse ships, in terms of wear and tear and stuff. It's not that bad. The hull is a bit degraded, but obviously over the last 30 years, a ship will degrade, but it can be done up and stuff. It's not irreplaceable. It wouldn't cost billions, let's put it that way. It wouldn't cost that much. So I don't get it why they didn't want to do it. Especially because there was a will there. There was a good bit of a will from people to do it up as a museum and stuff. Even if they give it to to a charity organisations for veterans and stuff like that, for them to look after for the state as a museum. I'm sure they would have took great care of it. But it's the fact that the government didn't. They seemed to think about it, but then whatever happened in between, they said no. And I don't think it's the money part, but I just don't think what an Irish military or an Irish navy. I don't think they're too fond of that. As Micheál Martin said, he doesn't want anything to do with sovereignty. This is the man I wrote the letter to. He doesn't believe in sovereignty. He doesn't believe basically. So take that as he will, but he's the head of the defence forces. So the minister of defence. Let me know what you think. It's a sad tragedy, but anyway.